Good evening. It's a pleasure to welcome you to UGI Women's Big Night In. You're watching with guests from all over the UK, even a couple from California, New York and Israel. I'm Karen Goodkind, UGI Trustee and Women's Chair, and I hope that you and those you love have stayed well and safe during this pandemic. Before we meet tonight's special guests, I'm going to say a few words about UGIA and update you about what we've been doing and the difference your support can bring in these times. All around the world, life has changed, and each one of us is living with the challenge of coping with a new, potentially life-threatening reality. But while so much has changed for our community, with our care homes and many livelihoods threatened, synagogues shut, and a high percentage of Jewish people affected by COVID-19, our community spirit has remained stronger than ever. The opportunity for chesed and tzedakah, kindness and charity has hit us with full force. Our desire to do good in whichever way we are able has manifested in an outpouring of incredibly inventive ways for us to support both ours and the wider community. Perhaps you have noticed, like I have, that so many of the volunteers have been women, passionate to help others through this crisis. During this time, UGIA chose not to fundraise to give preference to pandemic-related national and local appeals, but nevertheless, we have still continued to support Israel Connection for our young people and families staying at home with wonderfully captivating interactive programs, and we have continued to fund our projects in Israel whose beneficiaries need us now more than ever. Israel is now a developed country with many achievements that we can all be proud of. But even the most developed countries, including ours in the UK, have citizens that flourish and citizens in danger of being left behind. In the Galil, where we focus our efforts, thousands still live below the poverty line, and children can come home to an empty plate. That is why at UGIA we do what we do. Our projects and programs ensure there are equal educational opportunities to help develop an equal society for all Israel's citizens, regardless of religion or ethnicity. In the short video you're about to see, you're going to meet some of our beneficiaries that we've supported during the pandemic. Amongst them are Sherry, an Israeli mother with 11 children, one has special needs, whose life changed thanks to receiving a UGIA study grant. Rose, a young Druze student of Unistream, which is an establishment that teaches entrepreneurial skills to the underprivileged. And Marley, our director of the Bar and Bat Mitzvah program for the vulnerable Ethiopian community in Kiryat Bialik. So our work continues, and I want to thank each of you for your support to UGIA. This virtual series is replacing our annual women's events, where so many of you generously donate to the Women's Campaign. Together we've raised hundreds of thousands of pounds for many life-changing projects because we value chesed and tzedakah, kindness and charity. We know that these times are challenging, but tonight we would love you to please once again help UGIA to continue their vital work for our community and Israel by buying a raffle ticket and donating what you can. Whatever you give will make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you so much to UJIA and to Daraba. Thank you so much for the Everett lessons. They've given me something really fun to do in lockdown.
היי, אז אני שרי, ואני תכף מסיימת את לימודי העבודה סוציאלית. אין כמעט מלגות לאימהות בגילאי 45, אבל היה לי קושי כלכלי משמעותי. הגעתי לכאן בזכות המלגה שלכם. אני מרגישה שמהמלגה הזו כל הקהילה הרוויחה. בתקופת הקורונה הייתי פעילה חברתית מאוד משמעותית ביישוב. וכל זה קרה בזכות המלגה שלכם.
I love getting my PJ library book with this pitter inside. I also liked reading the book Fiddler and the Baker. I also liked going on the website and doing all the recipes. But my most favourite bit was learning my new favourite Hebrew word, Shemah, because I loved the sun and playing outside.
Hi UJA, I'm Rose from Unistream Julie Center. Through our quarantine period, we had Zoom meetings with our head center. Not only did we get all the lectures and information that we needed to continue working, we also learned new skills from Unistream. It was hard, but also very, very fun. We learned a lot. We really appreciated you contacting us. We really appreciate your support and that you wanted to know about what's going on and how we're dealing with the whole thing.
משהו לא שגרתי קרה לנו וגם בכל העולם כולו. אז הסגר שהיה במדינה, כן הצלחנו לשמור על קשר עם זה עם החניכים שלנו ועם זה עם ההורים שלהם.
Hello, this is Ila from the Children's Village. Here at the Children's Village, because of the coronavirus, we've been staying in the house with the kids that cannot go home for the past month and a half. And thanks to your donation of the computers, we have been able to let our kids join their classmates and participate in lessons. So thank you, stay home and stay safe from the Children's Village.
אז אני רוצה להגיד לכם תודה רבה.
Thank you for the lessons. תודה רבה.
Thank you, UJIA.
Thank you very much.
A great big thank you to you all for making donations. And remember, you can also support the campaign by buying raffle tickets to win a fabulous 5 nights at the new Six Senses Spa in the Negev Desert. So the moment we've been waiting for tonight is the first in our series of 3 women's events curated to make you laugh, think and be inspired. So please sit back, make yourself comfortable, maybe even get your favourite tipple ready, because we have a terrific lineup of guests waiting back screen. So please make some noise in the chat to let us know that you're watching while we welcome best-selling novelist and TV sitcom writer Kathy Lette.
Hi everyone.
Kathy, and she's joined by her friends, award-winning comedian and actress Ronni Ancona.
Hello.
Hi, Ronni. And the inspiring Sarah Brown, passionate advocate for global health and education.
Hey, hi, this is the new clapping, I'm told, on screen.
Hey. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Sarah, I'm going to now hand over to you to host the conversation, and I'll see you all again shortly.
Bye, Karen.
Fantastic. Thank you. What a treat. And what a pleasure for all of us to be supporting UJIA. I think just seeing that video, we can see what a difference the charity's work is making, and no need for them to stop during this pandemic. They've all got to build back better to keep young people's connections with Israel. So I have a treat for you, talking to both Kathy and Ronni tonight. And all you've had to do is have your dinner, have something to eat, and wander through to your screen, sit back and enjoy it. I think this is one of the upsides of the pandemic, is not having to go and find parking or travel off to an event. It all just comes to you now. So we've been thinking about the lockdown. We were chatting earlier and trying to work out, how we were coping, how we were going through it. So Kathy, I wanted to start by just throwing it across to you. What do you think the best thing about the lockdown is? We'll move to the worst later, but let's start with the best.
Okay. Well, the best thing is everybody's taking up new hobbies, so gardening or portraiture or whatever. And I've been actually making macrame hanging baskets out of my chin hair. Fabulous. I mean, I didn't like my beard at first, and then it grew on me. So that's been quite a revelation. And of course, a lot more sex, because there's nothing else to do. So I've discovered the Corona Sutra, and that's been quite fun. What about you, Ron?
I don't know. The weirdest thing is that I've actually found myself having to say to my husband, you don't have to stay 3 meters apart from me or 2 meters apart, because guess what? You're a close relative. And him actually go, no, I think it's for the best. I think it's for the best. I can see the alarm on his face now. The restrictions are lowering to 1 meter. He's going, I think that's a little intimate.
To be fair, Ronnie, your husband is a doctor working on the front line, so
yeah, well,
probably caring about all of you. We have one hero in the household.
I know, but can I just point out that even before COVID, he was still quite interested in the 5 meter rule,
the social distancing at home. I asked you for the best things in lockdown. I think for me, it's been able to. I'm quite enjoying the homeschooling with kids at home. They may not be quite so much, but I think having them around and being all of it. But I think now we're getting to the point where just as the summer holidays are starting, I'd be quite ready for them to go to school. It feels like it's back to front.
I'm enjoying the homeschooling too. I don't have any children of school age, but I'm quite enjoying saying to every boy, every man I know, you've been very naughty. Come and see me in my office. That I'm quite.
So new, other than the macrame chin hairs, Kathy, other new hobbies?
Other new hobbies. Well, I had a book come out, which was
exactly.
I had a book come out, and I was supposed to ricochet to Australia and go on some fantastic book tour, but instead I had to do the whole thing by Skype at 1, 2, 3, and 4 o'clock in the morning. You know, putting full makeup on, whatever. And I thought, oh, what a terrible time to bring a book out, but to bring a comedy book out. But actually, have we ever needed laughter more? In fact, laughter is not just the best medicine; it's the only medicine we've got right now. And the book's called HRT, Husband Replacement Therapy. And has any woman does she not want to replace her husband right now after 3 months of lockdown? You've both got fantastic husbands, I do say that. But mostly, I mean, I think what is driving women mad is the lack of domesticity. I mean, giving a room a sweeping glance is the closest most men come to doing housework. And we know in China, the divorce rates have skyrocketed after the end of lockdown. So where Wuhan goes, the world does follow. So I would say to any man listening, start cleaning, clean up your act or you'll be taken to the cleaners.
Play your part, yeah.
It's also in a man's interest to help more around the house because it's scientifically proven that no woman ever shot her husband while he was vacuuming. So, it's a no-brainer, really. Right?
I'm quite thrilled that Kathy has been stopped from going to Australia because we're very close friends. And she disappears for like 3 months.
Oh, you're so lovely.
Leaves me in the dismal weather of Blighty and torments me, Sarah, with little pictures of, it's just a little picture of me on the beach.
In a tiny bikini on a beach.
With some gorgeous hunks. And, it's just a little... I'm quite
in the middle of winter over here.
Stuck here.
Oh,
so tell me your worst lockdown moments.
You go on.
Worst lockdown moments. Well, I tell you what, I've been told, I thought actually because I'm appalling with time management. So I thought with the lockdown, maybe give me a chance to sort of catch up on some box sets. But actually, and I get all these recommendations, but what I've realized about myself, I literally cannot cope with any small amount of violence or on a box set, so I get recommended all these box sets, but I literally, if somebody gets cramp, I go, switch it off, or someone cricks their net. And there seems to be an awful lot of quite predominantly, sort of quite sweet friends of mine said, oh, you should watch this. And they're sort of heinously violent sort of box sets, which seems to be on the mainstream. But I've been catching up on The Crown, actually. I've been catching up on quite a lot of box sets, although I'm not, this sounds awful because I do love her and I think she's brilliant. I'm not totally convinced with Olivia Colman, just because, see, Olivia Colman only ever says things in 2 words, last word very quick. Makes me, doesn't actually string a sentence together. That's what makes me very interesting as an actress, but very versatile because I play the Queen, obviously. And also, I'm in Broadchurch. Philip, look after the corgis. Body on the beach. Yes. And so I've been watching her, and I do think she's a brilliant actress, but I slowly, I can't sort of, always having a boiled egg as the queen for breakfast. I can't sort of get that out of my head. And then I realized that a couple of the box sets I really wanted to watch, my husband Et tu, Brute had watched on his own, which I think is literally that's worse than having an affair, right? I think.
Oh, totally, in the lockdown. Yes. How dare he?
That's the new equivalent when he says, but I've already seen Berlin, Babylon. And I'm like, you've what?
I know.
Might as well have been having an affair. Would have been easier to cope with.
I think that's true. What about you, Sarah? What have been your best and worst things? Tell us something about your life.
Well, I found I thought it would be lots of free time and able to learn new hobbies and take up new pastimes. But actually, you know, running a charity, it's just flat out all the time, because I suppose like UJIA, at their world, we're running all kinds of different children's projects, and it's rejigging everything. Every member of staff has to be set up at home so they can carry on working. And then every project you've got to work out. So we're working in refugee camps, we're working in setting up schools and education work across Africa, code clubs, and all of those, everyone needs to be kept safe. So I'm amazed at how adaptable our team have been. And I think the charities have really been at the front line of being able to be flexible and sort it out, but less time for the banana bread making than I'd hoped. I'm going to say something is going to happen, but we are about to embark on school holidays, and I've no idea what the difference is going to be. You know,
bread making, the obsession
bread making, the sourdough starter.
I literally found myself buying one, sticking it in the oven and pulling it out of the oven and went, oh, that didn't turn out as well as yesterday's. It's just...
you bought it and pretended you cooked it.
Everybody is, all the celebs, everybody's obsessed. Not that I'm a celeb, but everyone's obsessed with sort of bread making. You know, Nigella's now like, you know, I love bread. It's so primal. It's like the essence of life itself. And when it's cooked, it's called toast. Everyone has become obsessed with bread, which is not great for the old figure, I have to say, in lockdown. That's a bit of a...
I'm the opposite, as you girls know, of a domestic goddess. My favorite recipe is domestic goddess roasted slowly on a spit. You know, I just dial my finger to the bone, ordering takeaway normally. But yeah, the overeating in lockdown has been a problem. I've got one of those talking scales, and when I got on it, it said to me, social distancing, just one person at a time, please. You know, we've all got, we've had too many, what do we call them? Quarantinis in the lockdown hour. So, yeah.
Kathy, if she says, if you go around for dinner at Kathy's house, she goes, I'm still getting ready, meaning that she hasn't opened the can yet.
Yes. Well, Emily Panker spent all that time getting us out of the kitchen. Why do you want to go back in? Not for me, love.
Oh my gosh.
So, what else have you been watching, Ronni? I'm interested. The Queen's been a fun one. What about these celebrities in lockdown? We've had some quite excruciating compilation videos.
I am watching a bit more daytime TV than I normally would. I kind of, you know, I'd sort of shows that I would never normally watch, like Lorraine Kelly, you know. Yes, welcome back. If you've just joined us, you've missed nothing. No, yes. Oh, yes. Actually, yeah, I'm actually terrified, genuinely terrified of social media. I'm absolutely appalling. I think Stephen Fry put me on Twitter a million years ago. It was like a gift. And I spent the whole day crying in the Apple Store the next day because I got a notification every email, every follower, only because he said follow, not because of me. And I'm slightly terrorized of social media. So I kind of, I view all these, celeb Instagrams with a kind of morbid fascination. You know, I noticed that Victoria Beckham, she's isolating in the Cotswolds, you know, because, you know, David and I are just simple farming folk. We just like to toil the land. Yes. And she's been putting out some very important messages, like how to buy her primer. It's only £140 a bottle. So that's been very useful during these times. I love manicured nails all the time. Perfect.
And I think when you say they're in the country, you know, living off the land. I think all David sows are wild oats, from what I hear. But anyway, go on.
I just, you know, she's always got perfect. And I know, and everybody's become sort of increasingly woke, haven't they? They're so awake now. They're beyond, you know, like everyone's, you know, falling over themselves to do the most woke and virtual, you know, that like. You come to something when everybody is more woke than Paloma Faith. They're all even more woke than me. I can't believe that happened, but it has. But it is. I know it's a strange phenomenon. I think actually it might be a wonderful thing. I used to do this show a million years ago called Stella Street, where this normal suburban street was kind of full of, like, I think it was Mick Jagger and Keith Richards used to run the corner store, and you know, it was celebrities that lived on the street. And it's quite nice now, actually, because I think that the right people are the real celebrities, like the nurses and the frontline workers. So you know what I mean. It's just, but it's quite interesting watching a lot of them falling over themselves trying to hold on to that attention, really.
Yeah.
There's like that great moment with the celebrity video where you're waiting to see what the charity ask is at the end, and it doesn't happen. Your gift to you is just a compilation of celebrities singing something.
Yeah,
and there's a I think even I did one for something, and I screamed. My microphone had a terrible sore throat. I just squeaked. I mean, that wasn't doing anybody any favors at all. No, there are some quite, I know they all come from a good place, but there are some pretty cringy videos out there, I have to say.
But this is what gets us through lockdown, is some of the cringe is as entertaining as some of the good earnest stuff that's out there. So one time we can be
Melania Trump, she had her 50th birthday in lockdown, you know, which is great. No, it's really great. But, you know, Donald, he didn't get me what I wanted, you know, a divorce. But, you know, it was
a divorce.
Yeah, the Free Melania campaign. Absolutely.
Yeah, God, love me.
So what do I mean, you know, joking aside with Melania, what's the impact we think for women in lockdown? It's, you know, UJII certainly noticed that it's the women who've been volunteering. I live in a house that's just men, my husband, 2 sons and a male dog. And I've been absolutely clear from the beginning that I do not do their laundry. I do not do make their breakfast, their lunch. So I'm very happy making dinners and doing the bit of it I enjoy. But I've had my teenagers learning how to cook a meal once a week. And I predict it will make them very popular as future flatmates.
I'm just getting a pen. Can I write down some notes? Exactly what I need to know. Listen, sorry about the audience watching.
I still think I'm doing slightly, even despite all that, I still think I'm doing slightly more. But yeah, no, teaching them how to cook is kind of, I've never quite been able to pin it down. But it's like, if you want to be fed, there's the ingredients.
Yeah. Well, I would say any man who's watching, you know, men always say, what does a woman really want in bed? Breakfast and a really good book, and that would make us happy. The way to a woman's heart is through her stomach. That's not aiming too high. Yeah.
No, for sure. I just think we're all a bit worried about, you know, some of the women who are a bit more trapped in lockdown. And I think there has been kind of cause for concern. I think what's been extraordinary, and one of the things that's really moved me, is that sense of community that comes out of lockdown, where everyone's got to know their neighbours a bit better, or you know, you've got somebody who, if you go off to pick up the food, you're getting shopping for somebody else. And all those new connections that have been sparked have been really very uplifting, I think.
And I would also say, you know, my whole motto in life is that women are each other's human wonder bras, uplifting, supportive, and making each other look better. And of course, Sarah and Ronnie are my human wonder bras.
All I'm going to say is going to take a bit more than a wonder bra to get these boys back up. I mean,
I'm wearing a wonder bra now, and it's called that because when you take it off, you wonder where the hell your breasts went. You never wonder where your best friends, your best girlfriends have gone. You cherish each other. Let your cups run.
Should your breasts be above your waist? I don't know. You see, I think that's passé, isn't it? I mean,
but I do think women have really come together, and even if it's on Zoom and a cocktail hour, or just getting together with girlfriends on Skype or whatever, I do think that wonderful sisterly camaraderie has got a lot of us through this. We often Skype and Zoom just to make sure we're all okay, and I think that's what women are good at, is communicating. together. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, France, thank you.
I
I know
totally
that's the other thing about box sets, though. The other thing, the downside of on a lot of, obviously, I think a lot of people are watching a lot of TV at the moment, but it's just this awful ageism on television that you notice. So it's
Victoria back on the line. Kathy's still number one in the charts.
She does that because she does that to show how popular she is.
No,
Look,
it's
I've got
Barry.
lots of friends.
No, it's Barry. My
Actually,
neighbour.
down the road.
He's just over there. He wants to come over. I'm so sorry.
Not now, Bazza.
I'll turn it off. He lives just behind me, and every time he gets home, he tells me and says, "Kathy, dear, I'm poised at your rear entrance," or something like that. You know. I've turned him off.
Not leaving you alone. He's not leaving you alone.
Sorry. At least you know it's live, everybody. It is live.
There's a terrible ageism on TV when you watch where literally the women have to look younger than their children. I've noticed it makes viewing very confusing because, you know, in TV land, a woman who's 40 to 50 has to be kind of, they write it as 30 to 40 because anyone 40, 50 is like, that's considered as an octogenarian. That's just tasteless. So invariably, then the TV version is like 20 to 30. So you end up with the 20 to, it's very confusing. I spend all my time watching TV going, but that's the daughter, It's even when the couple was supposed to have met at university or been old friends.
Child geniuses, all of them, I imagine, the women. So Ronni, you've been setting up a new project in lockdown with your chum, Sally Phillips, cooking up all kinds of creative ideas. Give us a little sneak peek into what you're up to.
Sally and I are doing quite a lot of stuff together, actually, and we are writing a couple of films together, which should be going better. In terms of, it should be going better because, you know, it's there's always a sort of a pull on one's time. And actually, and I can't remember who it is, but this brilliant writer wrote on Twitter the other day, this female writer, and forgive me because I don't remember her name, said, the great thing about lockdown is I've used this time to write a novel. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say novel? I meant this tweet.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
So we are sort of writing together, and we find each other extraordinarily amusing, and we think we're doing really well. And then we read back what we've written the next day and appear on Zoom going, oh, that was awful, wasn't it? I think we have to start again. So we've got quite a few projects going on and a little company going on. So yeah. In fact, we were talking about the other day, Sarah, about all that, because there's a lot of old sketches that I've done and Sally have done that have been going viral since, you know, the lockdown. Some strange old sort of sketches that I'd sort of did years and years ago, and there'll be funny little things that will come. And then, of course, I've realised, such is the fate of women in comedy in the, you know, in the 80s and 90s. So many of them, I was receptionists. You know, can I help you? Can I help you? Can I help you? So we thought we might plop some of all of these together where, you know.
But this is also why women are now, like Ronni and Sally, are writing their own material, because as she says, because women suffer not from racial but facial prejudice, we get judged on our looks in a way that men don't, because, you know, for women, wordplay is foreplay. How is this Woody Allen still, you know, doing the horizontal tango? So because we get put out to career pasture over a certain age, you know, and even when you were considered to be, you know, hot young things, you were playing receptionists. So now that's why women are starting to sort of create our own projects, which will be great. You know, we can, where the women can be the protagonists.
I know, and I've written myself as a 35-year-old.
We can be
married to a 25-year-old.
Yeah, we can be the ones swinging off a chandelier with a toy boy between our teeth. What's not? I mean,
the terrible thing is, there's an element of because it is desperately superficial, especially when such tragic times are going on. But you'd think that people would be invariably less concerned about their outward appearance and how they look. But of course, we've all been forced to stare at ourselves constantly on camera. I find myself just naturally just doing that all the time. And people going, I'm just a bit tired. No, I've got a headache. No, I was just thinking, actually, no, I'm just thinking how that would be permanently with my hands.
Yeah, I think the theme for the whole lockdown is undergroomed and overzoomed, don't you think? For sure.
Definitely. I think, when people get out, it's the hairdressers and the waxers that they're heading to first off, isn't it?
I'll tell you what I'm quite excited about. When I walk around, I live in West Hampstead, so I walk up through St John's Wood sometimes, and normally the women there are so amazingly coiffed because they haven't been able to do anything. Husbands are finding out their wives' real hair colors, and their faces are moving because they're no longer all Botox and everything. And they've got the hairy legs, the hairy armpits. I think, well, if they're hairy there, they're probably hairy everywhere. And how fantastic if women think, I'm never going back to that terrible waxing routine. Find a man.
I'm a natural. Oh, sorry.
Find a man who just enjoys a little light, bushwalking, and perhaps even a little light bush tucker would be very good. So I'm hoping that, young women are going to think, well, I'm never going to go through that pain again. So that would be a vast improvement. Sorry, Ron.
Do you think that would happen? Do you think that would happen?
Yeah, because women have had a break from all that relentless maintenance. I mean, also, when you think about why would you want a man who only wants you because you're silicone from tonsils to toenail? Well, you wouldn't want a bloke like that anyway. I mean, I'm against cosmetic surgery. My mother told me never to pick my nose, especially from a catalogue. I said that for you, Ron. I thought you liked that.
It turns out I'm a natural blonde. I don't mean grey. I'm actually like Timothy, blonde. With a Scandinavian blonde. I thought that, eh? No, it's all a bit. I know we're all. I mean, I do think. What do you think that is? I do think there are going to be elements that are of good things that will come out of this. I mean, it's been terrible, and I know people have undergone terrible adversity and tragedy, and that's awful. But just the simple things in life, the sort of lack of materialism, it's all becoming a bit more swallows and Amazons in my household, like sandwiches and a flask of wheat lemon squash and on the bikes and, cycling,
I think what we're going to learn from all of this too is to carpe the hell out of DM. Like, don't put off whatever you want to do with your life because you never know what's around the corner. My whole philosophy too is adventure before dementia at my age. I just want to have as much fun as humanly possible. And I do think people are going to reevaluate what is important to them and how they want to spend their time because who knows what's around the corner.
Do you think that's a change for humanity that will come out and actually last? Or do you think we can rush back to...
Yeah, I think it will. And I also think we're going to be trying to be more green because it's been so wonderful, hasn't it? Smelling the air and hearing the bird song and all that sort of stuff.
I hope so. I hope that the priorities in life have been, people are clear and possibly, as you say, Kathy, that people will realise that, be a bit more sort of it and realise and the mindfulness, the inherent mindfulness that you live each day as it comes and appreciate things in life.
Is that we know that the COVID has affected men much more than women. We know that this is a women's event. This is quite interesting. The double X chromosome is protecting us. More men are admitted to hospital, more men die. So in America, they're now running a couple of trials where they're giving men female hormones, estrogen and progesterone, to see if that helps protect them. And I thought, wouldn't that be amazing if the vaccine for corona is actually female, being more female? You'll have all these macho hard men around the world like Bolsonaro and Boris Johnson and Trump queuing up to take female hormones. Now, a feminization of the world can only be a good thing because, it is Mother Nature. We mothers love Mother Nature.
This is what you're plotting in lockdown, Kathy.
I think it's amazing.
Listen, Sarah, her armies are gathering in the north as we speak.
I know, there she is at 1 a.m. phoning Australia.
When she says she's doing a virtual book tour. No, she's speaking to her generals, darling. Generals, they're on the move.
Oh, she knows me too well. Yeah.
I'm hoping that
the other thing we're going to get really good at is speaking with our eyes, because as we're having to wear masks more, everyone's having to kind of signal with sparkly eyes and smizing away. So we'll definitely get a bit more Jane Austen with the coy looks and the, you know, how to send a message without being able to speak.
Well, that's good. Then I can grow my macrame, my beard here, and nobody will know.
Surprise them all later.
Yeah.
how have your children been, Sarah, in the lockdown? How have they been?
My God, well, they're teenagers, so taking away a teenager's social life is a fairly devastating thing to do. But they've made good use of, you know, technology. You stick on the headphones and chat away, and I think it's also bit by bit learning how to. Because the first thing they do is go, I can play as much FIFA as I like, or do as much, whatever it is, you know, whatever the game is that they like. And thankfully, after a few weeks, the novelty of, you know, too much FIFA and too much gaming wears off a little bit. So I think they've learnt to chat with each other and converse a bit. But one of my guys is just pining to be able to play football again, just absolutely desperate to go and kick a ball with some mates.
So I'm a bit of a freak. They torture me by making me try and copy a TikTok dance, and then they laugh at me like I was some sort of freak in a traveling French circus in the turn of the century. As they watch me, and then they laugh, and then of course there's a whole vernacular that I don't understand at all. You know, I've just language that goes on.
No kid wants to have a cool mum, though. It's just not a thing.
Oh, you know, let me
cool, Sarah. I might be cool.
So living with a teenager is like living with a teenage daughter is like living with the Taliban. You're not allowed to laugh, sing, dance, wear short skirts.
Everything is designed to embarrass them. Yeah.
Yeah, everything. And my only survival tip for any woman watching who does have a teenage daughter, next time she hits you and kicks you and says, I wish you'd just die, you just take a big drag on a cigarette, a big gulp of wine, and say, I'm doing my best, darling. That's my top tip for anyone. But you, Ronni, my daughter's 27 now, but you've got a teenage daughter, but she's gorgeous. She doesn't.
Yes, on the, I know, it's just a sort of, and I keep on saying, she says, you know, I realize I'm obviously desperately uncool, but I did say to her the other day, I'm so uncool, I could be cool. It's a thin line. It's like fascism and communism meet each other at the middle. I might straddle. If only, you know, when you see those people who were like so uber fashionable, they're like nerdy. I'm hoping that one day I could straddle the line.
Hope away.
Goes lol and laughs at it, goes lol and rolls her eyes and disappears.
I think low self-esteem though is hereditary. You get it from your teenagers, really. I mean, my daughter's lovely now, but when she was taken hostage by her hormones in her teens, I remember one day I was going out in a short skirt. Remember that pink leopard skin suit I had, that really short skirt, which I wore when I was way too old for it. But anyway, I was wearing it out one day, and I knew she didn't approve, so I creeped down to the front door to open the door and sneak out. And she heard me and she came running after me and said, go back to your room, you're not going out dressed like that. And I said, but Georgie, surely my legs are okay. I can still wear a short skirt. And she said, it's not the legs, Mum. The skirt doesn't go with your face.
That's wounding.
That's bruising, yeah.
I remember when that happened.
You've got to double down on your confidence and keep at it at that point, you know.
Exactly.
Boy, that stuff. Oh, the worst. Right, so we think that we're allowed to maybe perhaps get a tiny bit closer, but we don't know when this lockdown's going to end. If you're able to walk out your front door and everything's completely back to normal, what's the thing you've missed that you want to kind of go and do? What's the first thing you go and do? Oh, some relatives, see some friends, but what's the
first thing I'm doing is taking my human wonder bras out for a cocktail, or 10, us, and our other gorgeous girlfriends, and just cackle like kookaburras.
Drink and dance.
Drink and dance and swing off that chandelier with the toy boy between our teeth and just embrace life. I mean, what's the, you know, how do you say it? I can't say it in Yiddish, l'chaim, or, you know, live life. I mean, it's the best creed to go by. So that's what I'm doing. I'm dancing and drinking and laughing with you guys.
All at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. What's yours, Ron?
Yeah, well, I really hope they open the pub soon, because if they don't, I'll become an alcoholic. No, I really do. I'm really looking forward. You really appreciate. I mean, it's been difficult because I've got elderly parents and I haven't really been able to see them. And I just think really to get together with your friends and see, I want to hug you both now. It's frustrating. That's what I want. I want a big hug.
Yeah, cuddle. What about you?
Hug from strangers.
Oh, I want to come and join the drinks party for sure, but I'd love to just walk into a cafe and sit down and just know there's people leading different lives, having different conversations, and just that sort of very normal, nothing's happening, but people are still next to each other again. I think that distancing is now getting quite hard.
And I think also I'm very worried, obviously, just being in the arts world, I have a fear about the theatre and live performance and what that means and how the theatres are going to cope, because it's been catastrophic for them. And there's a lot of talk about sport and football, etc. But that they're a mainstay of our culture and our life, the theatre. And I suppose really looking forward to is when the theatres and live performance is up and running and the performers are able to, because a lot of them are suffering quite badly actually at the moment, musicians and artists and actors.
And no audiences for them, which is why it's so great that Zoom and these other StreamYard and other platforms can offer something where people can sit at home and see what performers have. I think performers need to be doing performing and know there's an audience there. So the more we can wave and clap them on, the better.
Barry, who rang earlier, who just lives right over there, he told me that he's missing the theatre so much that on Thursday nights when we were all out clapping the NHS workers, he would secretly stand on his balcony and just pretend it was for him. I think all performers are slightly like that at the moment.
Like doing that, just lapping it up a little bit. Yeah.
You're going, oh yes, thank you. Yeah.
Well, on that note, I think we have to wrap that up. I think we can only give ourselves a round of applause because everyone's out there. But I think we'll just know that there they are with all their lovely comments in the private chat. So thanks very much to all of you for sending all those lovely messages. And it's good night from Ronnie and good night from Kathy too. And I'm going back to Karen.
Lovely to speak to you, Sarah.
Wow, that was fantastic. Honestly, I've been laughing out loud at some of the comments. I love that. Uplifting and supportive women, wonder bras. Brilliant analogy. It's really, really wonderful. A few tips to my husband as well. Yeah, better not mention which one. Anyway, it was absolutely fabulous, and what a treat to hear all about the lockdown stories. Ronnie, thank you very much. I love that you brought some of your famous friends with you. And there have been amazing comments in the chat from the guests watching. They've really, really enjoyed listening to the three of you and enjoying our big night in. Anyway, so I just want to say thank you once again to Kathy and to Ronnie and to Sarah for being with us tonight. And I hope that you've enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed watching you. So I don't have to wish you a safe journey home, but do stay safe, stay well. And so thank you very much. I do have to say goodbye now, unfortunately. So goodbye.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bye. Bye, Sarah. I'll see you soon. Bye, Karen.
So goodbye to Sarah first. Goodbye, Sarah. And goodbye, Ronnie.
Goodbye.
And goodbye, last but not least, Kathy. Thank you for bringing your friends. Okay, and thank you to all of you too. Please join us next week on Monday the 29th of June at 7 p.m. when BBC journalist Samantha Simmons will be in conversation with Lucy Aharish, the journalist and news anchor who became the first Arab citizen of Israel to present the news on primetime Israeli television. Enjoy the rest of your evening, everyone. Good night.